Welcome everybody to a special episode of Let's Play some Final Fantasy XIV. Once again, we're going to take a little bit of detour from continuing on with the main scenario here. This Price of Principles one is the first quest in the 2.1 storyline, but we still have a bunch of loose ends to tie up in the 2.0 storyline. Starting with this one, we're going to actually be picking up a bunch of quests in succession, and they're all going to prove useful in the end. Well, apparently that whole plan Alphino had, or rather idea, that slaying Garuda, despite how powerful she was in that incarnation, would kind of quell the Beastmen's desire to summon their primals. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. That's gonna be in the next special. You feeling okay after it? You know, you were just kind of possessed. For who knows how long. Well, it wasn't really exactly your fault. I mean, even if you hadn't exhausted yourself and kind of unwillingly opened yourself up to possession, it would have just been somebody else. So, don't blame yourself, bro. It sucks, but don't blame yourself. So this series of quests opens up the hard mode versions of the primals. So I'm pretty sure this is not really in canon with the storyline as a whole, because then, yeah, things just wouldn't start adding up, and they would just keep summoning over and over and over again, and there would be absolutely no rest. So as far as I'm concerned, these exist solely for gameplay purposes only, and not, you know, really part of the canonicity of the story as a whole. But even though we won't be doing these quite just yet, since we're already here, we're going to open these up because they are going to be important later on in this episode, actually much toward the end. Okay? We're just gonna take his word for it. Okay. So again, we're gonna be putting that on the back burner for a little bit. But it will be important later. For now, we're gonna exit to Vesper Bay because there's a couple other quests we want to pick up. Don't worry, we'll get to Ifrit eventually. Okay, so it all starts with this guy right here. Oh, this is what we want to start our Relic weapon. Which is the whole reason we're doing this episode. Yeah, and my weapon's kind of actually crappy right now, so yeah. Okay, now we're actually going to pick up this quest as well, because it is going to be relevant to our Relic quest, as will be Ifrit. Alright, so that's some of it we have begun. So our next step, because we're here technically for the relic, is to stop at Revenant's Toll to speak to Rowena. Alright, so yeah, there's a bunch of side quests in this area, but those do not really concern us. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do, as things take a while to load because of the population of this place, I'm going to make a pit stop right here. And I'm actually going to buy this, since we're already here. This is actually going to be relevant for our relic weapon. Spoiler alert. I'd rather, since this episode special, I guess, is going to be extremely long, I'd rather take as many shortcuts as is necessary. So Rowena, who in the original 2.0 actually, hung out near the Aetheryte, has her own little huge establishment over here that's been growing over time. But again, there's that whole deal of gameplay story segregation, which kind of sucks for the new people. Okay. Alright. So, greatest blacksmith in the land is a drunk. Totally awesome. So as said, he's hiding out in North Shroud. Alright, so our Mount Roulette has seen fit to actually put our Magic Tech armor to good use. Unfortunately, we don't have the cannons active on this at the moment, but there is a quest, a side quest, which probably I will be doing on a stream eventually, to re-enable them, so this is not entirely useless. So I'm going to cut right through here to the camp of the friendly Ixal. Hi, buddies. We are not concerning ourselves with these people because it involves crafting and a hell of a lot of side quests, which we don't really have concern for. Alright, so he's hiding out right over here. Eventually he will show up. There he is. What's up, dude? Hooray! So yeah, once we take care of that, once we get any job to 50, and we've both completed the main scenario and the level 50 job quest for that, we can start this quest line for the relic of that job, as the bush is in my way. Let me see if I can get... There we go. Okay, it's a little better. I hate when the scenery does that to me. Okay. Yeah, except for the fact that that was the little plague thing that kind of turned them on the tonberries. Yeah. Okay. So, there are slight differences, but basically every relic quest, ends up pretty much the same. The first of which is he's going to have you go to a specific area. I believe it's either in the Amalja hunting grounds, the Sahagin, which is where we're going, or somewhere in the Agomoral mines where the kobold lives. That oh, actually no, there one of them actually has you go to the Ixal grounds in Kurthus as well. And basically you gotta sneak your way past there, and there's gonna be a little hidden treasure chest which happens to have the very item you need in it. Why they have just kept it lying around, I have absolutely no idea, but gameplay story segregation stuff. Okay, so I'm actually gonna summon actually, I'm actually going to use my unicorn whistle for once. See if we can get our unicorn summoned. But I'm also going to use the Gishel Greens, and we're going to summon Trusty Sidekick. The unicorn horn is for a mount that you can obtain after you hit Conjurer level 30. There's a quest for it, and it's a very, very simple quest. It's the only class to actually get a mount right then and there. And I had to get it to 30 because I needed it to level 34 for Stone Skin. So this right here is part of the Grand Company hunting log. Remember, we get another one of those. Yeah. See, a bunch of them on here are, not all of them, but a bunch of them involve, kind of tough monsters here. We haven't unlocked the third one yet. We'll do that eventually. So I was here briefly, between episodes, a couple of them back, because when I hit 49 to 50, I finished off my Arcanist, hunting log. And one of the monsters is in this area, but I've never actually come here proper. So let us tread into Sahagin territory. We haven't dealt with these as a beast tribe yet, but we'll get to them. We will get to them. So thankfully, because maps spoil everything, we know exactly where we need to go in order to pick up our lucky item. Of course, it does make you hunt for it a little bit, but at least it gives you a rough idea of where to begin your search. It's been a very long time since I've actually had to do this, so... Oh, you see that? I see a sparkly in the background. Come, Celine. See if we can sneak past these ones here. No? Okay, fine. So, unfortunately, unlike most treasure chests, it takes us a while to figure out how to bust this thing open, so it can be interrupted while you're doing this. So, that was easy enough. So, once again, we need to go back to North Shroud and report to Mr. Drunken Blacksmith. Get used to this, we're going to be doing this a lot. I have come with the book, good sir. You thought you sent me on a wild goose chase. You could have actually sent me on a wild goose chase if you didn't want to do this. Just saying. At least he's still honest underneath it all. Alright, so at this point he's going to ask for a specific kind of crafted weapon, obviously matching the type you have, with 2 specific types of materia melded onto it. Obviously, crafters can make these for you as well as meld it on. Even if you can either buy it, you can either make it yourself and meld the materia onto it, or you can buy it bare from the market and get somebody to meld the materia, or you can do what I did off screen. And I bought one pre-melded off the market. As far as I know, it doesn't have to be high quality, but everyone makes them high quality anyway. Yeah, get used to this shot too. You're gonna be seeing it a bunch. Okay. That is actually a bit of a truth, by the way, that there are some animals, some birds included, who actually do swallow rocks to help churn up the food in their stomachs. Alright, so we get our first actual combat objective here is we need to slay a chimera. But first we have to unlock the duty first. At one time, back when this game first came out, you actually, it wasn't an instance that you execute in the duty finder for. You actually had to go in with a pre-formed party. You didn't actually have to bring all 8 people. It could be done with 6 or 7. You still wanted to bring a bunch because it was still a little bit tough back then. I need to go this way. But yeah, you had to party up, and then go in the area, and then it would load the battle area. And yeah, I do want to go this way now. I want to turn around and then go up the hill this way, because the witch drop is in my way. So you would hear parties like shouting, "Oh, I need help with Chimera," and it would take you like a half an hour or so to actually fill up a substantial party in order to do this. So a lot of people would be total bros and help each other out, and it's like, oh, you had a friend who needs Chimera, okay, yeah, let's join up. But they made it easier by putting it actually in the duty finder, so it is now cross server, hooray! I do not care about you, Mr. Sentry. There's probably dragons attacking, blah 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 blah, don't care. So we never actually really had to end up this way during our Curtis madness over here. Thankfully. Yeah, before, like, the Chimera would be just actually be sitting here in plain sight behind a somewhat of a barrier, and as soon as you went into that, you would actually be thrust into battle whether or not you were partied up. So since these are rather easy duties, as you can see, we now have the trials activated, but we actually need to have everything unlocked to actually have access to it. Cape Westwind is actually on there. I'm not sure why it's showing up, but yeah, these are rather easy duties, so that's why I don't have my my friends with me, because these are very easy to do in the duty finder, and unfortunately, trusty sidekick, you need to go away. Oh. I don't like the sound of that roar. Oh. He sounds very, very, very angry. So remember when I said back when we did Cutter's Cry that to remember some of the mechanics we did? They come into play here. The Drawn Chimera is actually not very different from the Chimera in Cutter's Cry. There's only a few small differences, one of which is obviously he's bigger, better, and meaner, and does more damage. That's pretty par for the course. The other main thing that he does is that both Ram's voice and Dragon's voice aren't triggered by their respective eye colors. Instead, it's merely in the cast bar, as we have some trigger-happy DPS who are in here. And this time, though, because the eye color is not a thing, Ram's voice can be silenced and Dragon's voice can be stunned. You want to take advantage of that. Likewise, we are also taking advantage of the top of this hill, because neither move actually works on the Z-axis very well. So it gives you kind of a little bit more freedom of space. And a couple more safe zones. You shouldn't be banking on that, but it's still something that really helps. He's going to spit a lot more of these ice balls at people, though, and he's going to do it right from the start. I think the Cutter's Cry Chimera only started doing it right at the end. So Cacophony, I think that's the name of the move when that little orb drops, it's still going to be the same. It's still going to go after a random player. But he's still got the Dragon's Breath, and the Lion's Breath, and the Scorpion's Tail, and all that other same stuff that the other Chimera had. He's, like I said, with those few exceptions, he's pretty much the same darn thing. Now, Ram's voice is especially potent, and you really want to silence that if it comes up, because it really hurts. Unlike the original version, which was only a little, like, say, like about this size of the ice ball AoE around him, Ram's voice is actually incredibly huge in this. It takes up a good chunk of things, so you definitely want to silence that thing. It gives you a dot, I think it gives you a heavy. And we finally saw Dragon's voice at least once, which does the same thing. It'll paralyze you if you get hit by it. So hooray! So if you remember the mechanics, it's not a hard fight by any means, but if you don't pay attention to Ram's and Dragon's voice, you will be in for a world of hurt. This is actually my 4th attempt at doing this. Simply because people would not pay any sort of attention to any of the mechanics, and half the people would end up dead. And frankly, even though keeping some fails in is kind of funny, they were all absolutely disastrous. You honestly did not want to see them at all. Alright, so now that we've got our salt, sir, maybe you wouldn't have this debt problem if you would just admit to your drinking problem. Like, what kind of glow? Well, I can take you up on that offer. Okay, so now we head back to Revenant's Toll to, no, I'm not on my main character, so return point is not Mordona. Back to Revenant's Toll to talk to Rowena again, see if she's got any words of advice. So, Rowena, you got any glow-in-the-dark supplies? As we're still, there we go. It's still loading a little bit. The zone is very heavy right now. Okay. Okay. Alright, so this is why I activated the quest for opening up Amdapor Keep, which is located in South Shroud. I told you this would be important. do not want that mount. So, Andapur Keep is part of South Shard that we actually haven't visited yet, but not because of the usual case of deadly monsters in its wake, but more because I never needed to come here until now. And it's basically just a different path from Camp Tranquil to Quarry Mill, so... Andapur Keep is really the only thing of interest along this path. Unless you need these tree ants for your hunting logs. Or these will-o-wisps. So, hello, can you grant me entrance, good madam? Okay, so now we can queue up for this baby. Ooh, creepy statues. And we have some kind of cult in here. Fantastic. Alright, so this is one of our first two level 50 dungeons in patch 2.0. We'll be dealing with the other one a little bit later. But yeah, needless to say, probably everybody is pretty over-geared for this. Your item level is synced to 110, I believe, for this, even though the highest is 130 currently. But even with my fancy new threads, I'm personally still only 75, and this is designed to be done in like level 50 to 60 gear. So yeah, needless to say, this is probably gonna go pretty quick. I'll obviously still cut out some of the unnecessary trash. But yeah, this is the beginning of the speed running of the dungeons, friends. See, we have a beautiful courtyard there in the background. That's what I love about some of these dungeons, that even though obviously the loading zones are pretty big for it, that you can actually see stuff happening in the background in real time. Little touches like that that I love. Whoops, and I wasn't even in cleric stance that whole time. Whoopsie. Now that little stuff to the right we can skip. No need to handle that. So we have these Dullahands who are on patrol. They actually are in a section of North Shroud as well, but I haven't been on screen proper. So I think this is really the first we've technically seen in them. They're pretty much the same thing as the Magitech Colossus that the Garleans have. Just that they're, you know, headless suits of armor. Which is kind of creepy, but also kind of cool at the same time. So our first goal is to get past that little purple force field. But to do that, we actually need to defeat the robed figures in front of the door. But these little hippogriffs and these Dullahands kind of get in the way. There's a treasure chest to our left that contains, I believe, the demon brick minion, which is so cute. It's like a little, it's literally a brick with like some bat wings and a tail on it. It's freaking adorable. But most groups don't bother because you don't need to go over there otherwise. So yeah, my tank is like barely taking any damage from these, and like my fairy is handling 99% of the healing over here, which makes it great for me. The more time I can spend in cleric stance, the better. So 5 minutes in and we're already at our first boss. And if you can tell about the little pieces of dialogue here, this is obviously another faction of the Lambs of Dalamud, which we saw in Tamtara Deepcroft. They just will not give up. Now this priest will eventually start casting Void Call, even if you actually defeat him before he finishes casting it, which it actually is possible to do. He's going to summon this Mind Flare anyway, there's no way to avoid it. It would be kind of cool if you could. That would make the boss fight so much easier. But yeah, he's nothing but a decoy. This Mind Flayer is the real boss. And of course my tank, I've never seen the tank go over here. Maybe if he stops getting out of my range, the skills will work. There we go. So he's gonna eventually revive these little piles of rubble into some stone golems. Thankfully they don't pose too much of a challenge and they're pretty easy to kill. But eventually he's gonna revive this massive, huge one, which cannot be killed. He's gonna wander on his own and you want to ignore him. But you also do not want to be in this big, massive AoE. I'm pretty sure it kills you. I've never actually studied it to find out. It at least hurts really, really a lot. So for that reason, everybody pulls the Mind Flayer to a corner of the room. Usually they pull him like behind the pillars. But I suppose this works just as well. So that was rather easy. Now if I hadn't gotten some spiffy new threads already, those gloves would actually be an upgrade. This section of the dungeon kind of introduces a semi-new gimmick here, where these Void Dragors, which are actually also present in the bottom of the Witch Drop, though we never actually went there, literally kind of spawn from the statues. It's kind of cool. I wish the statues themselves would disappear, because I think the implication is they're supposed to be the statues coming to life, or at least that's what I choose to believe. But obviously that might be graphical constraints and whatnot that are that's, you know, too much of a pain in the ass to program. It might be a PS3 limitation, it might be, you know, some other kind of hardware limitation, I don't know. There's more of these sleepers. These ones actually don't spawn from the statues. Pity. Like I said, I like to imagine they spawn from the statues themselves. But that Delahan, if you notice, we just walked right the heck past him. Because you can do that, and it's fun. Usually, I think that's why he, the tank chain pulled there. I think he was trying to avoid Mr. Delahan over there and get him in a good pattern without wasting time. Everything can be snuck past. Now likewise, these two little monsters can be snuck past as well. Just hug the wall. And just pull these sleepers over here. Now unfortunately we can't sneak past this Delahan, but that's okay. We snuck past enough mobs in this area. It's alright. Can't win them all. So up ahead we have more of these sleepers. I think they almost got a little too carried away with this. Now once we defeat those sleepers, we actually gain access to the next boss room. We can sneak over here to get rid of those two mobs. I think it's possible to sneak past the Dullahan, but not 100% sure. People aren't usually wildly successful with that, so... Most everyone just pulls them in here to avoid those other ones before they continue on. Now our next boss over here is Le Demon Wall. Yes, he's finally made an appearance. So when these little purple piles of puke detonate, I think they leave you a heavy, and they are in a distinctive pattern, so it's very easy to dodge. And these sides here function very similar to Titan's platform. You fall down there, you're out of the fight, and you die. So don't do that. And you also don't want to be at an angle because he can repel you off. And you don't want that, so you want to stay... I wasn't in Clark's stance the whole time. I'm going to kill myself. Not really. Yes, his lane just got heavy there. So he's going to slowly move forward. Actually, we're going to defeat him now, but after the second repel, there's actually going to be another pile of purple puke that is going to appear there. Slowly, decreasing the field in which you have to work with. And there used to be bees that spawn too, that would attack you as well, and believe it or not, that used to actually be a somewhat difficult fight way back in the day, partially because of those bees. And they ended up nerfing it so it doesn't even summon them anymore, which is kind of a disappointment. But hey, what you gonna do? Obviously, if the majority of people can't reliably clear content, you know, since you can't fix stupid or entitlement, usually the only choice left is to change it. So now we're on the upper level here. I don't know if we can see it properly from this angle. Actually, yes you can. Yeah, that's the door to the demon wall right there. And you can see the mobs are still there. So yeah, that ethereal flow was basically, well, an elevator, I guess. Now this area is actually patrolled by a bunch of the succubus, which actually are casting these seemingly random AoEs on the floor. So you defeat them and those will stop. I kind of like how they had, you know, they have a mechanic like that where it's not some random cannon or light or whatever, it's actually a monster halfway across the room who's shooting stuff at you. Alright, lady, you're going down. No more shooting fire at us, okay? Not appreciated. If I wanted my bum lit on fire, I would jump into that candle. So yeah, as you can see on the map, it looks like there would be a shorter way to take care of the boss. Because we started at the top there. But no, there's a broken stairway. Or, whatever you want to call it. That's, yeah, preventing us from doing it. It's more of the ads we didn't defeat hanging out down there. Just patiently waiting. They're like, oh crap, they're like all the way up there. Now Now these two Dullahan patrolling this room actually can both be successfully snuck around, but again, people aren't wildly successful. Sometimes we can sneak by both, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. Okay, I think we're in the clear for that other one. But yeah, it's usually just not worth the wait to try to get past both of them. But it can be done. It can be done. This is a rather nice room. But I don't like the looks of that guy. What the hell is that thing? Looks like some kind of giant zombie puppy. It was crossed with some kind of gargoyle. Alright, so like Garuda, this fight actually has an interesting gimmick, and that the scenery is actually somewhat important. So the tank usually pulls them right to this corner right here. Because we're going to take advantage of this little statue right here. She should focus target him so I can see his cast bar. So he's got a little frontal cone that can give you disease, and he's got a little tear cone that's activated by standing near his bum. But this is his big move here, Imminent Catastrophe, which has this huge ball pulsing light right in the middle of the room. And if we hide behind the statue here, it's going to block the effects of it. So after he does Imminent Catastrophe, he's going to summon this little ad, which one of the DPS usually takes out. He's not really that hard. And then it's lather, rinse, repeat for a little bit. Now, he might be actually dead before we see the next mechanic, but after the second Imminent Catastrophe, his mechanics are going to change a little bit, but few people ever actually get to that point anymore, so... And we just killed a gargoyle mutant zombie puppy. That's okay, we got what we came for. We'll pretend that, you know, we got the gilf we needed up on the altar somewhere up here, rather than it just randomly appearing in our inventory. Alrighty, back at Rowena's place. She's hiding. There he is. So let's give her what she seeks. Hooray! So let us take our book back to North Shroud. Again. Okay, I got your book. Okay, so, yeah, we got a book that's about as good for smacking people. So we actually want to equip this for our next part of it. where we have to go back to the Sahagan grounds. We're actually going to use Trusty Sidekick for this again. Alright, so here in the Sahagan spawning grounds, once again, this time we actually have to kill them. It's the same thing as before, whatever area you originally collected your, the original piece of the relic, you're gonna have to come here and kill 8 of each of, 3 specific monsters. And you need to have your unfinished relic, in order for it to count. So, yeah. Don't forget to do that. Okay, buddy. I tagged a bunch of fish with my book. Thankfully the pages didn't get too wet. So now we gotta go kill Sahadra. Alright. That's hanging out over in Eastern Thanalan, and he's actually right by the place is literally Halatali. It's the same stinking place. So yeah, our destination is literally in the same spot. So unfortunately we have to say goodbye to Trusty Sidekick again, who helped me murder some things. Our next opponent is, of course, Mr. Hydra. Hello, Mr. Hydra, how are you doing? Now, it seems to be like a theme that this relic quest, like, everything comes in threes. Like, we had to most recently kill, 8 copies of 3 different enemies. The drone chimera had 3 heads. This thing has 3 heads, and eventually we'll be facing off against 3 primals. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's just something funny to point out. Now, you will need to have your unfinished relic in order for this to count. Can't tell you how many times I've done this on various classes, and crap, you forgot to actually get the right one. Now, this debuff I have on me is the Infirmity debuff, which decreases the amount of healing you receive. No bueno. But thankfully our fabulous skill illustrate will get around that. So like our good friend Chimera, he will spit ice balls at you, but also spit fireballs at you. And he will summon these little wyverns after you. If they are not killed quickly, he's actually going to give a bravery debuff to Mr. Hydra, which you do not want. You also don't want to be standing in the middle, because these ice balls and fireballs are targeted at random players. Because you need to be stacked in the middle for this move, Fear itself. This covers almost the whole arena except the area what's underneath him, and you will get Hysteria'd if you are hit by it. And Hysteria is a fantastic, lovely debuff that you do not want, because it renders you completely uncontrollable of your character for the predetermined amount of time. Anywhere from like 10 seconds to, I don't know what the maximum is, because it's not the first time or the last, well actually not the last time I should say, we'll see that mechanic. And basically your character runs around like a drunken idiot and just walks into everything. It'll walk into walls, it'll walk into everything on the floor. It's basically as if you gave the controller to like a 5-year-old for 5 minutes and told them to go to town. That's pretty much the end result of that. Yeah, but relatively speaking, he's pretty easy. If you can avoid getting Hysteria, it's pretty much a walk in the park. Even when this fight was brand new, it wasn't really difficult at all. you might want to get those glow sticks that are caught in your throat, checked out. Yeah. So, my good sir, have I beaten the crap out of enough stuff for you to finish this thing already? Oh? So it's not just for decoration. That's kind of interesting. Well, I learned that Hydra actually, you know, swallowed some glow sticks, and I don't think that's healthy. Alright, so we need to actually unequip this lovely thing. Because remember, he gave it to us in order for us to solder things with and get a feel for how it works and learn from it and whatnot. Okay, so this is where the hard mode primals come into play. This is why I picked up this quest a bit early. Now, we only have one more step before he finishes our relic, and that is with these 4 items he's described. But in return, we're actually going to have to be teleporting back and forth between the Waking Sands to get these quests for the hard mode primals. Now, obviously, the quests for the hard mode primals are actually independent of the relic quest here, but like before with the Darkhold and Aurum Vale, it's just much easier to do both quests at once and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so I only have to defeat them once. So let's go talk to Swift over here. Hello. Yeah. So, because these things aren't, well, technically in canon, we have a new way to face them. If you remember, Ifrit was actually summoned, right in front of us, right before our eyes, as we were held prisoner. I want to go to Alamigo. And with Titan and Garuda, we actually found ways to kind of sneak into the back door to their own little private sanctuaries. We don't have quite the same luxury this time. So instead, the Beast Tribes actually have their own little Aetherites in their respective areas, and they're actually visible all the time. As you can see, this little marker here. The other Beast Tribes have a similar marker on their maps that represent their primals, and that's pretty much approximately where their Aetherite is. It's always visible. That doesn't always look like the ones we've previously seen, the ones that we use, but they're functionally the same, and that's pretty much functions as the back door, so to speak, to get us back into these areas. Again, because we have to integrate the plot into game mechanic-y stuff. So we're actually in the Amalja Stronghold for pretty much the first time. This little area just kind of hooks around a little bit, but where I want to go is obviously where the Aetherite is at the end. I was here earlier, which is why this is mapped out, because I had a hunting log entry in this area. But yeah, hostile guys like everywhere. This is really almost no different from the saucer spawning grounds. It's functionally pretty much the same thing. Enemy stronghold, we're breaking into everything, and they're all, well, kind of rightfully angry. Alright, so this Aether Ray, as you can see, it looks a little bit different, but it functions quite the same. So hooray, we have the Bowl of Embers, the hard mode, actually available now! Hooray! So once again in the Bowl of Embers. Where Ifrit's introduction is pretty much the same thing. Maybe just slightly more flair added to it. Mainly because the Rings of Fire are already here and he's the one who actually causes them the first time when he declares that "Roar, roar! You have the echo!" Well, rather, he doesn't quite figure that out yet. He's more like, why did I temper you? You must have been claimed by somebody else. And then he slams his hand on the ground and then you get this fire. So, yeah, but otherwise the same thing. The amount of these crazy details I remember. So this fight is going to be an absolute cakewalk. There's only a few minor differences from the original mode. Obviously, as usual, he's a little harder. It's a little harder, but still quite the pushover, because this fight actually can be done straight in the artifact gear that we got in our Scholar quest. Obviously it makes the fight a little tiny bit difficult, but still very much doable. Now you have people who are like more than twice as powerful, so yeah, he's gonna die rather easily. So this is the first new mechanic right here, Infernal Cyclone I think it's called, or something like that. You don't want to be in the path of that because it's going to hurt. Eventually he'll actually split into 2 and do it, and even later he'll split into 3. But you can kind of just stand between them, just don't stand in the path of it. Where they'll appear is just random, but extremely easy to avoid. And then the only other major change, more eruptions will appear on the ground rather than just one. Eventually we'll get more, and as you can see they actually appear in quick succession here. And his little radiant plumes, it's actually a 3rd pattern, which we may or may not see, and it's basically, it does everything around the in the room except for the area immediately around him, so you just gotta go give him a big hug. And finally, we have 4 nails instead of just 1. But the same rules apply. You have a limited amount of time to take care of this, blah, 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 and that's pretty much the whole difference in the fight in a nutshell. Nothing really complicated. Like, seriously, I'm not even trying. Well, I am just a little bit, but because I'm not just sitting on my bum, but... Oh no, that barely tickled! So killing those nails actually increases the limit break by a hell of a lot. Yeah, see now multiple of us are being attacked. By the eruptions, but that's a-okay. Sometimes I like to play chicken and like jump in the path like just after he's passed, so it looks like on other people's screens that he's gonna hit me. And sometimes he actually does because I mistime it, but it's just fun. Obviously, don't do that unless you know what you're doing, because you don't want to end up dead because of it, because then people will laugh at you. And I'm gonna stand in one of them because I can't get rid of all of them. It looks like I am gonna see the third pattern of radiant plumes because they happen right after this eruption. I'm getting clawed in the face. There we go. But yeah, even after his upgrades, I've gotten powerful too. So he is still no match for me and my compadres. Hooray! But this time, we get loot. And they appear in the form of various weapons. Woohoo! I won it anyway! Alright, so with Ifrit out of the way, now we actually gotta go activate Garuda. So once we take care of that, even though I find it kind of odd, there's no actual quest completion itself for once you defeat Ifrit to unlock Garuda, but you do need to actually do that to have it happen, even though there's no objective list on it. Alright, so pretty much exactly the same formula as before. We're gonna head over to New Gridania and speak with the commanding officer over there. Hello, friend. I hear you need some help with Garuda. Alright, so once again, we need to head to Kurthis and then break into the Ixal stronghold to activate their Aetherite. Alright, so here be the entrance to the lovely Ixal stronghold. I like how they have the lovely banners outside, just so we know exactly who we're dealing with over here. It's funny how, one thing I find kind of interesting, you find more Ixal in the stronger ones, here in Kurthis, but when people talk about the Ixal, they refer to them as, more of a problem in Gridania, rather than anything over here. But I know a huge chunk of that is due to, the Ishgardians frankly don't give a damn about the Ixal, because they're, you know, too busy fighting their dragons and whatnot. So hopefully I'm going the right way here. Actually, no, I'm not. And of course, I have a deadly fate that spawned on top of me. Nope, actually it's not the one I'm thinking of. Phew! So we can see their Aetherite in the background there. Unfortunately, we have to go a long way around to get there. Take the back roads. Love how they had to stick a bunch of weapons and a bunch of banners in there, just so we know whose Aetherite this is. Trying to see if I can get him to disappear. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now we can access the Howling Eye. Awesome. So we have returned to Garuda's Sanctuary. And surprisingly, her little intro here is rather on the lengthy side. Nice butt shot there. Yeah, they really brought on the fan service here. And don't get me wrong, Garuda, you know, butt shots and tit shots aside, is gorgeously rendered, so I definitely enjoy this, even if I don't appreciate the eye candy as much as some of my brethren do, but so yeah, it's pretty much the same as the first time we encountered her, except the new little flare at the beginning. Still awesome looking though, never gets old. And apparently I forgot to resummon my porcelain. Hooray! Easy fix. Now Garuda is even more of a pushover than Titan, believe it or not, because the way her mechanics work, they're easier to outgear because she doesn't have this little pesky little problem of jumping and disappearing and becoming untargetable nearly as quickly as Titan does, giving you more time to do more damage to her. Now, you don't even need to hide behind these pillars anymore if you have enough gear, but I'm going to because it might potentially kill me, so it's a risk I don't want to take. So you can actually even ignore these feathers now, because she's going to phase skip long before she does enough damage to the pillars. Well, her and the plumes. Before she jumps. So, yeah. When people farm her, they can seriously have her dead in like less than 2 minutes. Believe me, I have done it. During the final stage of the Relic, my free company was farming this. We seriously broke her script so hard. So even though technically her mechanics have actually been doubled in this fight, we're not even gonna see any of that. The only one we're actually really gonna encounter is this one right here. These little whirlwinds do quite a bit of damage and you do not want to be caught in them. After a few seconds, she's going to jump up and she's going to summon these lovely two over here. And they're going to be tethered to her. There we have Suparna and Shirada. They will always spawn in the same positions, however the color of the tethers will differ. The green one gives Garuda a regen, and the red one will actually give her a determination buff. So if you choose to kill them, you want to get rid of the green one first, but since we can far outgear this fight, we're literally just ignoring them and burning through the regen. And it's literally that easy. And I barely did a thing. So once again, she's gonna actually drop some lovely items. These ones are more powerful than Ifrits. But hey, I can still turn them in for company seals, so yeah. So now that Garuda is down, now we do the same exact thing with Titan. Yeah, so they create some bullshit story about, you know, how Titan is even more powerful than Garuda was, who was even more powerful than she was in her last incarnation. Yeah, they probably figured us out and shut that thing down somehow. Because for once, you know, they ate the right back door, which you would think would still apply here. Because that's how we got in the first place. It does not. But I suppose it does make some manner of sense, because the whole reason we used the aetheryte to begin with is because they made a point about the kobolds constantly digging and mining and moving or whatever, and you could be searching for hours and days and still not find anything, but the aetheryte system was pretty much how they got their way around without getting lost. Though I guess it, you know, it stands to reason that they no longer have use for the aetheryte that one had linked to, because they've moved on with their digging and foraging and whatnot. Now, a bunch of that is probably just baloney, and they just, you know, made this stuff up, you know, to follow this formula and to contrive it in the plot, but I think it's still plausible. I mean, it certainly makes a hell of a lot more sense than the Ifrit and Garuda ones. So this time, we need to head over to Camp Overlook, and we're actually going to check out the mines for ourselves. I've never even actually been in there at all, because I didn't even have any hunting log entries in there, unlike how I did with the other three. See, that part of the map is completely untouched. And that's the Garuda staff I just got, by the way. Hanging on that guy with the big draw chocobo. Ooh, I actually do have a hunting log entry here. Awesome! Was not expecting that. Okay, so one Grand Company hunting log entry later. I'm just gonna suck it up and take the behemoth mount for once. I have been at this quest for hours. The sooner I get it done, the better. I don't care that I lost Celine. So here's the mines. You can't see much of the map because there's always a bunch of fates in here. And while it's not exactly the maze they made it seem to be, as you can see on my compass, there are a bunch of tunnels. And like, it looks like I can go here, but see, I can't. So you gotta find another way around. But thankfully, because interactive maps spoil, that's not gonna be a problem for us. It's just gonna take us a little bit longer to get there. So some of these doors actually do open. Thankfully. Sure, these guys don't really appreciate that we, you know, broke into their stronghold again. Considering we're, you know, we kind of made them angry in the first place. So yeah, they kept their aetheryte a little bit well hidden. I don't know if I can sneak up behind this guy, but I'll try. Nope. No, actually, no, that's that other guy coming to attack me. Still might need to kill him, though. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, yeah, I do. Darn it. One dead kobold later. At least this one doesn't have a bunch of spears sticking out like Garuda's did. Hooray! And we finally, we are almost at the home stretch, people. Almost. Almost there. We're almost done. Alright, so our rematch with Titan has begun. He's still wearing those, pretty funky underpants. Still using that same hair gel, I see. But it's all good. It's all good. He's gonna go down as easily just the same. So yeah, Titan's really not that much different. He's probably got the least amount of changes, I think. Obviously, he hits harder. I think these tumults come more frequently, but they're pretty much the same darn thing. One difference, though, is he starts knocking out pieces of the arena much sooner, and he knocks out a lot more, but functions exactly the same. I mean, this thing is absolutely huge. He'll still be landsided off, which sucks, so don't do that. Now, thankfully, Geocrush here actually doesn't interrupt your spells, so you can actually precast your cures on the party, which is rather awesome. I like that. Not enough people take advantage of that. Too many people are standing in the little puddles of the quicksand. So this is another new mechanic here, these exploding bombs. They actually appear in a somewhat well, that appears in a random, well, the first one appears at randomly, but the center one will always be last. And they will explode in the same order they landed. And we have the return of the lovely jails. Yes, that word really is pronounced jail. There's one little new part of it. That is, he gives you a damage down debuff for being in there, which you need to cleanse off. So once again, we must murder his heart. Apparently he grew another one. No, I banned too soon. Poopy. That's quite alright, though. Just try to keep everyone topped up here and focus. Now, usually what most people do, if you get the second jail, you break the first one out and then go after the heart, and before you finish breaking out the second one. Most groups actually won't, the heart won't live long enough to actually see the second one. And right now, we want to get the hell out of his way because he's going to do a move lovingly known as the table flip. Well, actually, it's called Mountain Buster, but it looks like he's flipping a table, so that's what people call it. And that is one of the first tank busters we'll actually see. Nowadays, you can outgear it, but way back when, it was did a huge chunk of damage. Now we get a different bomb pattern, but the same rules apply. They blow up in the same order they appeared in. Yeah, see, this tank is pretty geared, and it's still doing a huge chunk of damage. I need to conserve my MP a little bit more. brand new. It was actually quite difficult. This was a wall for a very, very long time. Mainly because this fight is very unforgiving if you make mistakes. It's far too easy to fall off. These bombs do a lot of damage when they explode. These weights to land. If you're, they can have multiple ones stacked on top of each other, and they'll do. You have no damage invincibility, so you do to get like double or even triple damage from them, and you can be very easily one-shotted. So yeah, but if you can avoid getting hurt, it's not that bad of a fight. I will admit the very first time I did this fight, I completely got carried. But the party who dragged me along knew they were carrying me. They were actually farming this for equipment. And obviously you need 8 people to get in, and it was early in the morning, and I very politely asked if I could join, and they said it was okay. And they were very generous. I wish I remembered who they were, because they were very nice and generous people, because they were the types of people who'd be like, well, the only way you learn to fight is by doing it, and by wiping and messing up and everything like that. And I stayed along for like about 10 runs or so, and I think the last one we did, I was finally able to survive the whole fight of my own power without dying. So I made a lot of progress, which was really good. But those people, I wish I remembered who they were, because they were very nice. We need more players like that. Yeah, usually this fight goes a little better than this, but people are getting hit by absolutely everything. But again, I guess I suppose it serves as a semi-good example for what I mean by a fight actually being hard, because the amount of times I've mentioned, yeah, this fight can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing, and then have my party proceed to absolutely curb stomp it and make me look like a fool. I suppose this actually works to counterbalance it a bit. So this is actually the third bomb pattern, and there's 4 little safe zones in here. Probably the easiest one to dodge, because you don't have to move mid-explosion. Face plant. Hooray! See what we got for loot this time. Ah, another spear. And I roll absolutely crap on that. That's actually the poop stick, as it's lovingly referred to. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've gotten all 3 of the items from the primals, let's turn them in. Yes, I do. This is why I picked up this item way earlier, so I wouldn't have to go to Revenant Stall and then come all the way back here. Now, for the amount of work I put into this better come out good. It better. That I will! As you can see, the background of our item is actually purple! Just to show how absolutely awesome it is. Hooray! Now, this is actually but the first step of the Relic quest line. This is likely the only one I am going to do. We can actually upgrade it. There's an item we can actually buy with our tomes and pretty much throw our book into the furnace, and that's going to upgrade it to the next level. That's probably the easiest upgrade to make, but there's several upgrades that come after this, which is why he's got a new quest icon above his head. I have a vague description of what you need to do for that on the bottom, but needless to say, it is one hell of a grind fest. I will actually not be doing any of that, simply because, number one, it's going to take way too damn long, and number two, the relics are actually going to be obsolete come the expansion, and there's other ways to get weapons that are stronger, so I'm going to take that route instead. But yeah, the Zodiac Zeta weapons, which are the final weapon in the Relic quest line, are actually the most powerful. They're item level 135, and yes, I do have one on my main character. It takes a very long time to get, but it is so awesome when you do. But needless to say, it's not going to be, that line is not going to be upgraded further come the expansion, so I don't feel it necessary to waste my time on a weapon that is going to become relatively obsolete all too quickly when I have, like I said, other avenues to explore to get a more powerful weapon. But yeah, it certainly beats that crappy item level 45 weapon we had, right? Right? So yeah, that concludes the first part of the Relic quest line, and we killed a bunch of birds with one stone there. We did 5 separate trials, which if we look at our trial roulette, there's a hell of a lot less question marks in there now. So we cleared that. We did one of our level 50 dungeons. There's actually another one in the 2.0 storyline, but we're not done with the 2.0 crap yet. Nope, nope, nope. We still have yet another hour-ish long special. And that's going to be the next series, and probably one of the things that I am going to enjoy the most, because it is the main reason I actually started this character and this series in the first place. It is my favorite part of the game, it is my favorite part to discuss, and there is going to be a lot of discussion about it. So stay tuned, and thank you very much for putting up with this lengthy episode. It certainly took me about 4.5 hours to record it, and no, I am not joking about that.